Today, I'm going to be teaching y'all how to do this crazy low tapered textured fringe transformation haircut. Let's get it. If y'all are new to the channel, my name's Jay Blends. I do vlogs, barbering content, and tutorials, so y'all make sure to go subscribe and let's get right into it. So to start with, I'm going to use my Tomb 45 trimmer, and we're going to go ahead and set this bald line right where the end of the eyebrow is. Following that, we're going to go ahead and bald him out using the Babyless FX foil shaver. Notice how I'm going light towards the top of that line so that we don't create a harsh guideline to blend out. After that, I'm going to go in with my Tomb 45 clipper with the lever open, and we're going to create about a 1/4 inch guideline right there. This is what's going to start to blend the skin from the hair. Next, I'm going to go ahead and slap on the half guard, and we're going to go ahead and start blending into the hair that he already had. I'm going to go ahead and start with the lever all the way open, and I'm going to close it as we work down in the blend. Notice how I just closed the lever all the way and I'm hitting lower in the blend. Next, I'm going to go ahead and go in with a 3 guard, and we're going to go ahead and start debulking around the ears. How much you take off the side of the head and around the ears is really going to be client specific. This client particularly doesn't like much bulk around the ears. He likes more of a flatter shape on the sides of the head. So we're going to go ahead and take some of that off, and then we're going to clipper over comb into the top of the hair. I left the guard on just to be efficient. This is a full-length tutorial. My haircut appointments last 30 minutes, so you have to be pretty efficient when doing this. There's definitely a difference in between rushing a haircut and being efficient. And the more steps that you can reduce in your fading process, the more efficient that you're going to become. After we debulk the side of the head, I'm going to go back in with my clipper, and we're going to go with a no guard, lever closed, and we're going to start blending out that bottom line. Notice how I'm just hitting the very bottom of that line that we created when we first started with the lever open. This is what blends the skin to the hair. I'm going to go ahead and open that lever as we go. Opening the lever means you're putting the lever down. That's one thing that I didn't know when I first started barbering. Notice how I'm just using the corner of the clippers to go ahead and detail that. I'm not using the full length of the blade. This ensures that I'm hitting the line that I want to. And after that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start detailing this side with the half guard once again. Notice how I'm opening the lever as we go up in the fade. This is because as you open the lever, you're cutting less hair, which means that the hair is going to be a little darker. And when you close it up, the hair is going to be a little lighter, and we don't want the fade to be too light at the top, as this is a low taper fade. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back in with my Tomb 45 trimmer, and we're going to start working on the C cup right here. Notice how I started at the top and worked my way to the bottom, and we're not going to push it back. We're going to leave a C cup pretty natural, and we're just going to barely tap it with the corner of that trimmer just to make this haircut pop. I'm also going to go ahead and start that guide around the ear. This is going to connect into the back of the taper at the very end of the haircut. Make sure you're pulling the ear back right here, and be careful with what trimmers you're using, because a lot of people have super sensitive skin around the ears and you don't want to cut them or leave them any irritation. And then I'm just going to go ahead and touch up that bottom line real quick. Like I mentioned, if you're doing quick haircuts, it's all about being efficient and reducing the amount of steps that you're doing. So instead of going back in and detailing with the trimmer at the very end of the haircut, I'm going to go ahead and do it while I am cutting the hair. Now I'm going to go ahead and slap on that 1.5 guard just to do some detailing. And I'm also going to go ahead and hit the back with the 1.5 guard, which will blend into that 3 that we did earlier. And we're also going to hit this side with the 1.5 as well. This is also a part of my debulking process on the haircut, which a lot of people waste time on. If you can go ahead and reduce the amount of time that you're doing when debulking, flick that clipper out, use the clipper over comb, then it'll make your haircut process way more efficient, and you can do haircuts in a faster manner. Once again, I'm going in with that 3 guard to do some debulking and clipper over combing. Now on this side of the fade, we're going to go ahead and follow the exact same process that we did on the other side. We're going to start with that trimmer and go ahead and bald him out. Like I mentioned earlier, I am using the Tomb 45 trimmer. I really enjoy this trimmer. I feel like it's the best trimmer in 2025. It feels really good in the hand, it cuts really well, and it hits. This trimmer did take a little bit to get used to, just for the fact that the blade is facing the wrong way or it's backwards. But this really helps because most of the time when barbers are doing lineups, then their trimmer is facing in a backwards position. It's pretty ergonomically sound. It also has the digital battery life display, which I really enjoy. It has it on the clippers as well. This is something that most clipper companies haven't done yet, which is really nice to see. But at this point in the blend, I'm going ahead and I'm going in with that half guard, and we're using the corners right here to go ahead and blend those lines out. Notice how I'm being light with the clipper. I'm not digging into the head. You want to let your machines do the work for you. Now that this side of the fade is complete, I'm going to go ahead and go back in and do some lever play and do some detailing. Notice once again, I'm using my corners. I can't stress enough how important this is, especially when doing a low taper fade. You don't want to dig in with the full blade of the clipper. You're not going to get a detailed haircut like that. It does take some time to see the lines. It takes time to build up your barber eye. This is what experience does for a barber. If you're in barber school or you're just starting to cut hair, just understand that it's going to take time to get this blending process together, and it's really going to take some time to see progress within your haircuts. All you got to do though is have an open mind and be willing to learn, be willing to try new things, and accept that you're going to fail along the way. I feel like this is one of the hardest parts about being a new barber, is the fact that you're not going to be good at cutting hair. But that's what's going to make you enjoy this journey, because you're going to see progress every single day. I've been cutting hair for over 4 years now, and I still see progress and learn something new about hair every single day. And you have to understand that every single canvas is different. Everybody's hair grows in different directions, has different densities, it's different colors, and some hair may blend easier than others. For instance, on this fade, this guy has a really light scalp, and the hair also grows in the right direction, which helps this blend really come together and it makes it pop. Not every canvas is going to be like this, and not every canvas is going to be an Instagram worthy haircut. But as you grow in your craft, you're going to go ahead and you're going to learn different techniques and different styles of cutting hair, and that'll help you give the best service to every client that comes and sits in your chair. Now we're going to go ahead and start the back of this fade. We do the exact same fading process on the back as we did on the sides. We're going to go ahead and start with making that first guide with the trimmer, and then we're going to go in with the clipper open and we're going to make another 1/4 inch guide. Notice how I'm being light with the clipper. We don't want to dig in, especially with no guard on there, because then we're going to create a line that's super hard to blend out. Now we're going back in with the clipper over comb, and we're going to clean up some of the bulk that was hanging over the fade. And once again, we're going to go ahead and go in with that 1.5 guard. I'm going to go ahead and close the lever up right here on the back corners of this fade. I feel like the hair grows in a little more dense on these corners, so it comes in a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the lever on those corners just so we connect the back fade into the side of the head. Now we're going in with that 1/2 guard once again, and we're going to start with the lever all the way open, and as we work our way down within that fade, we're going to close up that lever. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop that 1/2 guard off, and we're going to go do some detailing with the blade open. One thing that a lot of people struggle with when they first start out on tapers is the back of the head. This is because the hair grows in more dense on the back of the head. You have more hair follicles per square inch on the back of the head than you do on the sides. So on the back of the fade, since we're on the back of the head, we can use a little bit more of the blade than what we did on the sides. On the sides, we were pretty much just using the very corner of the blade to do some detailing, but now we have a bigger canvas to work with, and using the full blade is a little bit more efficient. Just make sure you're not going up too high and creating unnecessary light spots or lines within your fade. Now we're just going to go in, do some detailing on this fade before we do the lineup on the neck. So y'all go ahead and sit back, relax, and watch this until we get to the lineup. Now I'm going to go back in with my 245 trimmer, and we're going to hit the very bottom of this neckline. This is what's going to bring the taper fade together. This is also where we're going to be connecting the neck taper to the side taper with that guideline that we made around the ear earlier. Notice how I'm just curving this to the natural shape around his ear. We're not trying to push it back too much. And we're also cleaning up all the neck hairs around the surrounding area as we go. One thing that a lot of barbers forget to do is clean up these little neck hairs. One, because they either don't see them, or two, because they're too lazy to actually hit them. This is something that'll make your service as a barber stand out, and most of the times your clients will notice and appreciate that. And then we're going to go ahead and just follow the exact same steps on the other side of the head. Shout out my guy Matt right here for pulling up with the mesh shorts on us. One of his clients made these and he dropped some off for the shop, so those are fire, and shout out to y'all for that. Now let's go ahead and get back into detailing this fade. Right here, we're just going to go ahead and go in and detail that C cup. Notice how I'm not pushing it back, and we're keeping that line natural once again. Now before we go in and do some scissor work and add some texture, I'm going to go ahead and detail some of the spots on the fade. The detailing within the fade is what's going to make your fades blurry and make them really pop. When detailing, I can't stress enough how much you should be using your corners. We're not going in and necessarily debulking or taking anything off. We're just touching up light spots and last minute lines that we might see within our haircuts. As barbers, we're not perfect, so we may miss something, so this is why it's always important to go in and check your mirror. Sometimes your eyes will play tricks on you, but the mirror never lies. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go in and do some scissor work. This client particularly wanted a 1/2 inch trim with some texture on the top, so we're going to go ahead and start by fully saturating the head. This is super important when doing scissor work because this is going to allow us to create clean sections while we're doing our shear work. Now that we went ahead and we fully saturated the head, I'm going to go ahead and comb some of this hair out and create clean sections to start our first guide. Once again, we're going to go ahead and cut a 1/2 inch off. Doing this right here on the back section is what's going to bring the fade into the top of the head. I noticed that there was a pretty heavy weight line on the back, and I didn't want my client to look like an Edgar. That's not the style that he was going for. So we're going to pull this. Right here, I'm just going in and doing a little bit of sectioning throughout the head. This is what we're going to separate the sides from the top when we're doing the shear work. These sections aren't the cleanest, I understand that, but this is a textured haircut, so it's not going to matter with the end result anyways. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to create our first guide at the top of the head, and notice how I'm point cutting the ends of this hair. This is what's really going to help add the texture. And we're just going to go ahead and do that point cutting method all the way throughout the head. This is going to leave the ends of the hair staggered and bring out that texture when we style the hair. Like I mentioned, we're going to pull even sections out and just follow the same process throughout the entire top of the hair. Now that we're done with the shear work, I'm just going to go ahead and go back in with the clipper over comb and make sure that everything on the sides is blended in with the top. I don't want to see any hairs on the sides hanging over the fade, and we're really just going to go ahead and clean up some of those weight lines along the perimeter. Now that we've done the shear work and the clipper work, I'm going to go in with a straight razor and we're going to go ahead and get these C-cups to pop. I use the Tomb 45 straight razors and I use the Astro razor blades. I feel like this works for me and it gives a really smooth result every single time. Notice how when I go in with the straight razor, we're pulling the skin in the opposite direction of which we're cutting. This is going to help us get a super crispy line, and it's also going to help us to not cut our client. If you're a beginner barber, don't be scared to use your straight razor. Just do some practice, be light on the hands, and it'll all work out. Now we're going to go ahead and do some styling to finish off this haircut. I'm adding some level 3 texture powder evenly throughout the head. Notice how I'm lifting up some of those strands of the hair just so the texture powder can work itself in there. If not, I feel like when we scrunch the hair and kind of mess it up to get that textured look, I feel like most of the powder just ends up flying out. This is honestly one of the most important steps of the haircut. This is something that's often overlooked, is the styling process of the textured blowout type look. It doesn't matter how well you texture the hair. If they don't have the right hair density to hold that texture, then they're going to need some sort of product to make it pop. Now I'm just going to go in with a little wide tooth comb. This is really just going to be the finishing product of the style method that we went for. Also notice how I've been scrunching the hair. This is going to help to add some volume with that texture powder. Now that everything has been completed, we're going to go in and clean up those neck hairs using our trimmer. Like I mentioned, around the ears, we're going to want to go ahead and be light on the neck as well with the trimmer. Just let the clipper do the work. If we dig in super hard right here, a lot of people have super sensitive neck skin, and you're going to either end up cutting them or just leave them with super red irritation all the way around their neck. To follow up on everything, we're going to go back in with my Babyless foil shaver and we're going to touch up those taper lines on the neck, and then we're just going to make sure that everything's balded out and that everything is skin tight. Like I mentioned, this is just one of those detail things that clients enjoy and that they notice, and this will help you lock them in and have them as a returning customer. To finish this off, we're going to go ahead and spray some of the aftershave spray. This is going to help reduce some irritation and it smells good. Now let's check out the finished results of this haircut. I think that this is a super nice haircut. It fits the shape of this head, and that taper came out super blurry. If y'all guys haven't already, y'all make sure to go subscribe to the channel. If y'all guys have any questions or comments, y'all make sure to leave them down below, and I'll catch y'all guys in the next video.